lane, the big standout one that can take over and forcing Ming onto the Morgana. It looks like we're going to be seeing a very similar story. Rakan banned away, which means that RNG will not be able to get their hands onto at least that pick in the support role.
Yeah, we're going to see the Rakan, the Lucian, not the Lisa, and the Elise banned away. The Aphelios and the Akali banned by RNG. Let's see what they want to go for the last one. Is going to be the Kiana. So, what has been a fantastic pick for RNG so far has been that Misfortune. Do they let that one go through again? No, actually this time it's going to be BLG picking up the Rumble that went to Xiaohu in Game 1.
And I think this sets up BLG pretty nicely to go for the Jarvan if they want to on this next rotation. You set it up where you got the Rumble Jarvan combo, which is fantastic, but also give Meteor something where, again, have that early game pressure, see if he's able to take over. But to be honest, with the way that Zhao Longbao has been playing, keeping good track of where Meteor is at pretty much all points in time will make it hard for the BLG jungler to have the impact that we're expecting.
Betty's feeling good on Misfortune. He will not change a single thing about this series. He will play it all day long. Will not have Ming on Rakan this time round. Maybe we'll have him again for the Morgana. But it is going to be Xiaolongbao on that Rek'Sai, which did so damn well in Game 1.
Very much so. Kept Meteor in check. Worked very well in moving with Ming as well. They played incredibly around the Tremor sense. So I want to see if that's the style that RNG want to go for here, where we saw them last time, not quite able to figure out where exactly BLG were going to be. Maybe the Tremor Sense can give them that edge when it does come to setting up around the Dragon and the Baron Pit.
Coming in again to Senna for the first time this series, and it is going to be the Braum for Jinmo. So overall, BLG looking to change it up a little bit for themselves while trying to keep RNG on the edge of their seat as to what they're going to be showing at them next.
I want to see RNG pick up the support role here. I think if you're going to cast Ming across there, you really need him to be able to pick up something strong in the bottom lane, have the impact that he did in the first game, not kind of the subdued version that we saw in game number 2, but that's not going to be the case. We're going to see the Mordekaiser locked in, so we're kind of seeing what has been the go-to for Longshin in a lot of these games, or at least in summer, was the Aatrox, it was the Renekton, and now we're seeing the Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser has been touched, adjusted. It is not the nerf version on 10.1 that we have on the rest of the world. We have our own special Chinese client here in China, so we have got ourselves a pretty beefy boy with a hell of a lot of damage should he get to that late game.
Yeah, he definitely hurts and can be an absolute menace in team fights as well. So now the question is, do we want to see RNG go for what they kind of went for in the last game, which is have Xiaohu play a split pusher? My eyes are drifting towards the likes of the Rise, which is open at the moment, have him off in a side lane, and then have him join in, or even have a 1-4 come through with the rest of the team.
Exactly what the bans are. Gangplank Gragas, the two G's is RNG, spell out GG in their second ban phrase, and LeBlanc take it away from Xiaohu. I like that particular as it does do very, very well into Rumble, and also Xiaohu was a menace in Game 1.
I think if we're going to see the Gangplank banned away, I wouldn't be surprised if, well, the Gangplank makes sense, sorry, for the Mordekaiser, but I think if we're going to see something, it might be the Ornn coming through for King in the top lane. You've got the Braum already there, you've got a team comp that wants to set up and try and fight using that bullet time, but with the Ornn would make that very, very difficult to do.
Fiona, the poison of choice for Ming this time round. 3 games, 3 different supports for the man in the bot lane, paired up with Betty, and now BLG look to respond. How do you go against this Mordekaiser, which you assume is going into the top side? Not confirmed just yet.
Could be the Kennen. I mean, if it's basically the same idea. Okay, going to be the Nocturne mid locked in.
I love this. No, not Nocturne mid. It could be Nocturne jungle. It's almost certainly Nocturne jungle.
Yeah, could be. Sorry, I got excited because I saw that there were a couple of players that have been playing Nocturne mid, and I was thinking that we might see it come out, but it's definitely more of a counter pick, or at least a pick in a very niche scenario.
I love Nocturne. I'm not Vedius, but I genuinely... Well, actually, as Vedius' recent tweets go, it's not even in his top 3 favorite champions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, according to Vedius, it's not part of his top 3 favorite champions.
Turns back.
Do you know what his number 1 is?
What?
Katarina.
Oh.
He's not good at her, from what I've been told, but it is one of his favorite champions.
I hate playing against Katarina. It's so frustrating.
It is very frustrating with the Shun pose just constantly jumping around, but locked in is the Silas for RNG, and we have not seen Silas in a very long time.
We haven't. We did see some changes where, you know, the second part of his Q does a lot more damage, but we're still seeing a very similar build come in where people are going towards the Hextech Proto belt, in towards Illudens. I thought we might see a bit of a tankier style come out, but people are still just playing him nice and comfortable, and it makes sense when you look at the composition on the far side. All those ultimates are going to be pretty nice for that Silas to pick up.
Pretty much anything. Take your pick, Xiaohu, as they lock and load for this game 3 coming up to you guys. BLG fought their way back in game 2, and now RNG looking to smack them back down and regain themselves as the kings of China.
Well, they have to still scuffle with the likes of FPX and IG to make sure that they do secure that title. But this is definitely the first step on that road to trying to take the LPL Spring.
Overall, both sides, I think, will be happy with the way they performed. Neither will be happy with a loss. I think that's the general sentiment we can take for both these sides, as they really do need, especially for BLG, if you can take down RNG now, you set yourself up so well for the marathon that is after Chinese New Year.
Well, it's interesting to see kind of a different style come out for BLG here, where instead of just trying to go, okay, we'll match you in the early stages when you've got the Rek'Sai there, we're just going to go for kind of a level 6 quote-unquote jungler. We take the Nocturne, he's going to be able to farm up, we hit the level 6, and that's when we start to go for the more aggressive lanes. I'd imagine they're going to be looking towards either that top lane with the Aatrox or the mid. You've got the Sen in the bot lane. You kind of just want to let her farm. It doesn't really matter if she gets a huge amount of kills. Not going to be the big carry. You really want to be looking towards Fofo and Kingen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Game 3. BLG versus RNG. One looking to cement themselves as a top 4 team in the league. The other looking to remind people why they're a top 4 team in the league. And we are jumping straight onto the Rift. I will say, I'm not going to care for the last chant. I will say that the BLG chant, the BLG faithful, they sounded optimistic. Sounded good. Sounded like they felt like there was something there.
You would after that last game. I mean, that was I was going to say a bloodbath, but it really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It was the complete opposite of that.
It was just a bath.
It was a really intense bath. But that's the thing. If you've watched the 48 50-minute game that we just did and your team comes out on top, you're going to be happy that it wasn't a 48 to 50-minute game that you lost and knocked yourselves out at 2-0 versus RNG.
I think they were just like us and relieved to be able to use the bathroom.
Possibly.
So long.
Possibly.
Like, that'd be fine. No worries. 30 minutes you can do. It's like 50 minutes. Like, all right, I really need to leave right now. As BLG on the blue side with RNG on the red, and Fofo on this rumble. So seeing him take this champion Xiaohu took in the first game. And actually, I love this, the Glacial Augment from the Senna. So explain this to me a little bit. Why do you look to pick up that particular rune set on an AD carry, or marksman more specifically?
Well, you are looking to be more of a facilitator in this case. You've got your W, which is going to be the Dark Embrace. No, what's it called? Shadow's Embrace.
Shadow's Embrace.
Shadow's Embrace, that is going to give you the slow and at least the stun as well. So you're already getting the Glacial proc off just the slow. And then if you can hit multiple members with that, you can do quite a lot in these team fights. And when you look towards the rest of the runes that are there, you're not going to be proccing enough to say lethal tempo isn't really going to help you because you're at the very low set attack speed. It's the same when you look towards something like press the attack. It's just so hard for you to try and proc these. You might as well go all in on that utility.
Blast Embrace, not Shadow's Embrace, or
Blast
Dark Embrace. We were both incorrect in that particular one. But Xiaolong Bao now eyeing up Fofo. See if he can go for anything as this wave does push in. This Rumble feeling that it's going to be a little bit harder this particular game, especially considering the amazing game that Xiaolong Bao had in the first of this series.
We'll have to see how Xiaolong Bao decides to go for this. There's a lot of time spent off in this bush. They want to try and make something happen. Level 3 just hit by Xiaohu, so full access to the combo if they want to try and go for it. Ming is on the bottom side, but mid is where we're looking.
Fofo might have to flash here. Does not have confidence, and does have confidence in his spell shield though, and that's going to be enough! Xiaohu just tunnel visioned a little too hard, and unfortunately for RNG, they get heavily punished for a hell of a lot of investment.
With how aggressive they were going there, I thought Xiaohu had the ignite. I had to double check that. Teleport meant that there was no real follow-up, wasn't going to have anything left in the tank after they'd burnt in that initial damage. And RNG...
straight up mistake.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the pressure is starting to get to them in this series.
See now, Meteor now up in this top side, going to be able to potentially get the flash out of Longxing. Doesn't even need it at this stage. Longxing confident enough, knowing there's not enough damage to take him down. And they back themselves away, but it does mean the wave is pushed up in favor of BLG.
Yeah, we're going to get a replay here. I mean, Xiaohu had already used everything in this initial fight, so one more auto isn't going to be enough to take him down. Maybe hoping that Xiaolongbao would have enough damage with the bite, but that's still a lot to ask for when you've got the shield from Rumble coming up.
I was just about to say, the scrap shield is what saved him there. Able to get that little bit of extra buffer, no XP on the bite. Means that not able to make that one work, unfortunately. And that means they have lost 2 summoners for the sake of 1, well 3 technically if you count the teleports that were used as well, and you lost the kill going over, and there's now 10 CS in that mid lane. So Xiaohu already on the back foot in this matchup.
There's a lot of ands in that sentence, and not a lot of positives for RNG, but BLG will be pretty happy. We already said it. Meteor is quite happy to just farm. He wants to hit that level 6 point. The fact that the lanes are turning around these ganks solo is just great for BLG.
Xiaolongbao trying to find himself up into towards this top side, but then thinks better of it, as I feel he thinks that he's been spotted. Now Xiaohu and Fofo going head to head again. Fortunately for Xiaohu though, he has no mana, and Fofo has no need for mana.
Yeah, you can see the trade starting to go in favor of Fofo, but Xiaolongbao is back on the map.
Well, they're just going to try and just knock him back, and they are already blocking him from his turret, which means Kingen will fall after a big smackdown from Longxing, making up for his blunder in mid lane.
I like that Xiaolongbao hasn't been dissuaded from ganking though, realizing, look, I've got to try and make the most of this while Meteor isn't able to really get, I'd say, the most fruitful of the ganks off. It does leave open the option though for Meteor to take away this dragon, which, to be fair, probably shouldn't be his. You've got Betty and Ming who are playing the MF and the Leona. They should be the ones that are shoving in this lane, but because they know how heavily Xiaolongbao is playing around the top side, they can't really push that advantage.
Free Drake over to the side of BLG. They, however, lose a kill in that top side, so it ends up being even Stevens, apart from the Infernal overall in terms of gold. And right now, RNG, they need to just settle down a little bit. Xiaolongbao does not need to be the crazy carry in this particular game. You have the Silas, you have the MF, you have the Leona, you have a lot of team fight potential that can just set up your team without you know, doing the heroics.
I don't want this game to start to go back to what we've seen previously from BLG and RNG though, which is, let's just take it easy, we'll let the game play out. This is where they need to start stepping up. They want to make sure that they're the ones in control, particularly on RNG side, because they've gone for the Rek'Sai. If they start to get towards the team fights and you've got Meteor diving in the back line, being a nuisance for Betty, you've got Fofo who can layer down that big ultimate as well for, I mean, pretty much the top side of the map of RNG who are trying to walk in, the team fights become much more difficult for RNG to operate in, and BLG should be in a position to take them.
Xiaohu on this Silas does pick himself up a blue buff. And I want to talk about Silas a little bit as well. He was changed quite a bit in 10.1 to be not as spammy as he used to be. Doesn't get auto attack resets now on any of his abilities. Very much, you know, a lot of his damage front loaded on the top of his Q. It's not quite there in terms of just hitting all of it. It's definitely a different look for the man, but at the same time, he's still got that unbelievably annoying ultimate to steal other people's powers.
Yeah, what you want to try to be doing is you want to use the first half of your E to actually set up your W, so you're using the Kingslayer straight off the bat. Means you can get one passive proc going through. You then get the first half of your Q, which means that you can lend itself into stunning to get the second proc of your Q, which is where most of your damage is actually loaded now. So it makes things a little bit different in the way you want to play it. But I was watching Xiaohu, trying to see if they can get up towards the top side. This is where, again, we see RNG trying to get out, utilize Xiaolongbao, but in conjunction with at least one other person to make the plays happen.
Big thing right now is the Paranoia is available. You can see the massive amounts of pings going down onto that Rift Herald. They do not want that going over to the side of RNG. They do not want RNG having ownership of the pace of this game, the tempo, if you will. BLG now in position, able to trade off this blue and maybe look for some more plays.
So Betty has been spotted by the ward on the bottom side of the map. You can see it there on your screens. So they know Betty won't be here if they want to try and make a play. They are sending Kingwin down towards the top side. They've approached this one faster, so BLG could try and make a play if they get the opportunity.
Now Ming just sitting on top of a pink ward, confident that he has not been spotted out just yet. Level 6s have been hit by the junglers and the AD carries on both teams. Now, do you feel confident? Do you feel lucky, Jin Zhao? Do not step too close. Oh, doesn't quite get the Zenith Blade, but they do get enough damage down as Jin Zhao's forced to flash and cleanse with the heal coming down as well. He will not keep himself alive as they do get the Void Queen taking her prey. Kingin now in the death realm alone with Longxing, but a great little bit of a knock-up to stop the bullet time from happening. Overall, though, it's all RNG all the time as they start to push up towards top.
BLG should have known that RNG were in that push. They saw Betty back. They never saw Longxing, or well, they saw Longxing still in the top side of the map, and nobody had entered back into that bottom side. That should have been enough of a clue for them to go, we need to back away. They didn't need Jinmo to face check it, and also burning the TP off of Kingin to try and save that play meant that BLG are very far behind the play now. Meteor is going to try and equalize if it's starting off this Rift Herald. Will, it looks like, have the support here to try and take it down before the rest of RNG can get there, but still a bit of a risky play.
Bit risky, but should be alright with 4 people now roaming up towards this Rift Herald. They have it locked out as well, so there's no real sneaky steal coming out from the Rex side. You can see a vision ward down in the back of the pit means they are just going to be able to see that one go down. Know that Meteor has picked up that one, but at the end of the day, you're seeing a lot of plays coming out here. There's the Paranoia. Flash has been used. Finally getting the first one of the Glade. There's the Senna ultimate as well, along with the Fear, and Kingin picks himself up a kill. They will get the concussive blows and the Glacial Fissure as a 2-kill sweep comes in for BLG.
RNG sent their bottom lane into the mid to try and clear out that wave, but it meant that they were losing out of the man advantage in the top side of the map. Usually you just try to answer to try and keep control of the Rift Herald with no dragon on the board, but this is going to give BLG all of these turret plates in the top lane. They're popping the Rift Herald as well, which means they're going to put pressure on that tier 2.
Putting pressure on the tier 2, and we know how quickly this can go down. 30 seconds are all it takes to really just start pushing down the pressure, and you have a huge minion wave as well. This could be 2 turrets very, very easily for the side of BLG.
It's only Longxing in the top lane. He's not able to clear this wave. There's 4 members of BLG still here. This turret's going to go down.
This turret will almost certainly fall. They could maybe get another proc off on the next turret if they so choose. They are going to trade it for the Mountain Drake, but that's not really that great of a trade, and they've yet to get a turret in the bot side. Xiaohu still not really having the damage to take down those with this extra plate.
So RNG are trying to trade the initial gold and the pressure that's going over into BLG to get Xiaohu ahead and try to look as him as their big split push victory. They want to have this Silas off on the side. The Mountain Drake will help out a little bit in that 1v1 because you're getting the extra armor and magic resist. But this is really not great from RNG. They needed to handshake in the top lane, so then they'd have not Longxing here, but both the Misfortune and the Leona to help out in this scenario. But with only a 2v3, they get collapsed upon, give over the kills, and give over the 2 towers.
2 towers means there's a 1,500 gold lead for BLG. Yes, they gave up the dragon, but they were able to capitalize by blowing up that top side of the map wide open. And still some plates to be taken. As you can see, Longxing is in this bot side, able to push up that wave, maybe go for some more gold.
They need to get something going. I mean, you still got the CS advantage. We're still looking at only a slight lead for BLG with 1,000 gold, but it's the pressure that they've now managed to create for themselves on the top side of the map. They can give the option for Meteor to move in alongside Jinmo, get control with more wards that we've already seen littered down that in the red pit, and try to look for maybe some plays in around the mid.
Again, very low kill game from these 2 teams. It's But it's to be expected, I suppose, from how they've played this entire series so
I like
far.
the way it's either 1-1 or 3-3. It's always an even amount, just so you can go like, no, it's not the kills you need to look at. It's the CS. It's the turrets. This is like your proof of the proof is kind of in the pudding of why we're focusing so heavy on these things.
That's absolutely correct. It's one of those things that, because they are so risk averse, so ready to not fight, if that makes sense, without the correct setups, means we just end up in a situation where no one really kind of takes a step out or takes a step away from the correct position they should be in. But with 3 minutes on that Ocean Drake, we are going to see BLG trying to strong-arm themselves into this bot side, yet to lose a turret as well, so you can see why they are happy enough knowing that they're not going to really lose anything at all in the top in exchange from RNG.
And now they can push on, as you said, on the bottom side of the map. Everyone from BLG is trying to help on this turret, but the conga line from RNG is slowly making its way across as well. Betty will be back towards mid lane clearing duty, but with the 14-minute mark hit, there'll be no more turret plates for either team to pick up.
And again, this is incredibly similar to what we saw in Game 1 and in Game 2.
Yeah.
RNG started off very brightly, BLG come back in the mid-game, and then we do nothing for, I'm going to say about 30 more minutes. Everyone just kind of stacks up dragons or stacks up a little bit of gold and items, and then we just stagnate. Why is it so hard for either of these teams to blow up the game?
Well, at the moment, it's you want Meteor to be able to assassinate, when we're looking at BLG, Meteor to be able to assassinate the backline. Doesn't really have that yet. Would like to get the boots, would like to have that sticking power a little bit more so, especially going up against Ming and this Leona. You need a couple of items there to just blow up Betty and not worry about the CC train that's going to be coming in on the opposite side. But for RNG, they want to stall out the game. BLG have a great team fight composition, so if RNG can let Xiaohu get up to his items, have Longshin in a decent spot as well, well then they can just look to play through these side lanes and not give BLG the opportunity to go for these picks. The big caveat to that though is, again, looking at Meteor and the Nocturne. Very good at joining in on these side lanes from far away, so they have to be careful as to where they're positioned on the map and keep eyes on Meteor.
See, contesting over this red buff should be, actually won't be stolen, was taken there by Xiaolongbao. Bot lane does go over to Xiaohu, like you said, looking for that split push pressure. And again, RNG just keeping themselves within arm's reach, not letting BLG blow this game open. But again, BLG not taking any crazy risks.
This is where the game starts to get a little bit more interesting though. We do have the Ocean Drake spawning, so we'll have to see if the teams are willing to fight over this. Both teams at one Drake apiece, so it's not the end of the world if it goes over either side. Instead, they will be looking to more fight for that next one, the third one, because of course setting you up for that Dragon Soul. But Baron is still a ways off, but the second Rift Herald is spawning in just a moment. And I think definitely BLG want to try and get their hands on that. Again, start to accelerate through these side lanes, see if they can get some of these turrets down and open up the map for Meteor to start to roam and work and create that paranoia.
And there is the start. Oh, Kingen gets jumped on. Xenoblade, bullet time, let fly. Jinmo there, though, to keep him safe. Ignite did go down as well. And while that was all happening, they have got the Nocturne Meteor just taking this Rift Herald. So they may still be able to contest for this Dragon, but they don't think they really want to at this stage because it doesn't really give RNG that much.
Now, it really doesn't. I mean, a little bit of regen at this point isn't the end of the world. Again, as we said, more looking towards the later Dragons. And getting that Rift Herald gives the opportunity for Meteor, who's picked that up, to go for a gank, utilize the ultimate, and then toss down the Rift Herald to start to win more aggressively in the side lanes, or even in the mid lane if they do find Betty off on their lonesome.
For BLG, they'll be pretty happy with that one. They won't feel super overwhelmed with the Dragon pressure. They are still 1 and 2, so they're very close to that one as well. And with a Rift Herald, it all depends on how they use it, and if they can push that into a bot lane or a mid lane turret, they'll be delighted.
And the biggest problem for BLG is that because we're so far between when actual team fight or anything is really happening in this game, summoner spells start to come back up. They make those plays that little bit harder to overcome and actually turn into a success. So Meteor, I would imagine, is going to try to blow some summoner spells or play around Xiaohu before we see this Rift Herald get dropped down.
Good luck to try and take out Ming as well. Ming not looking super tanky. Has got the stopwatch, of course, so should be able to keep himself alive relative to how long he's in the fight.
I love the adaptation for Ming, though. Usually we see a lot of Leona's going towards that Gargoyle's throwing plate. It's actually why we saw her rise so highly in the pick, was because you wanted to get that tanky stats onto her as quickly as possible now that you didn't have to buy the support item. However, we see that he's going towards the Locket of the Iron Solari to provide a little bit more shields for the likes of Fofo's ultimate and for anything else that might come their direction. We have seen, though, BLG thrown this Rift Herald down in the bottom lane. They want to try and pick up a second turret, but RNG are collapsing.
No real wave clear here, though, for the side of RNG. I feel like a lot of respect was given to the fact that Xiao had just gone back. They didn't know exactly where he was, nor where all the wards were, and he has TP available.
But watch what BLG are doing. This is the slow, methodical gameplay that we expect from them when they are in the lead. This is one of the first times we see them in control at tempo, and they're starting to pick off these turrets. That's 3 gone already. Now it's only that mid lane turret that's available. And it's a lot easier to get in and start to look for dives or plays around that turret now that both those side lanes are down. BLG are actually starting to slowly get control and start to put the chokehold onto RNG. We want to see if RNG, though, can catch them out in transition. If they can get decent wards down, they might be able to find Meteor. They can find King in as he tries to make his way in through them into the mid lane, and that's why we're seeing a lot of wards in both of the alleyways to bring themselves into the mid.
BLG, again, like you said, slow, methodical, suffocating RNG. But again, RNG, the team fight team of LPL, the guys who always find a way to just that little bit of magic, that little moment that just brings them back 100% into the game. You can never discount them. We saw it in Game 1, nearly saw it in Game 2 if it didn't go on for so bloody long. And maybe in Game 3, that's where they need to start bringing it out.
I was promised short games. I don't know what happened.
You weren't given short games. JDG versus WE. Oh, solar flares and a blade, flash, and bullet time lets loose. But no one else going to be caught out. There is a flash burn of Fofo, nothing else gained.
Yeah, but I mean, that wasn't a very, like, it was okay. But I mean, this is definitely starting to teeter up into several games at that 40 to 50 minute mark, which is more like where I'm kind of like, okay, cool, maybe you should have Caitlyn, because she does real well right at that point.
You know who else does well? Cog.
We're back to the Cog, are we?
For anyone who's here for the early game today, that's for
go
you.
To work or sleep or
that's
something.
for you, my friend.
Shout out to the true heroes.
Shout out to the OGs who watch all LPL all the time, which is it. After Chinese New Year, it is all the time. It is literally starting on Wednesday 5th and going. It doesn't stop. We stop, unfortunately. We
needed break.
Well, not even we need a break. Our fantastic production staff need a break. They are the lifeblood of our production, and they need sleep. They need days off.
Sure, sleep is for the week. Come on.
Well, this is a resident sleeper, so
fair.
I'm sure a lot of people are just going to watch this. This will be like, how to fall asleep instantly.
Yeah, I mean, for 1 or 2 games, like, okay, cool, this is great. We're seeing a lot of high-level play, and now it's just no, we've drifted into a bad place that we can't get out of.
Well, I will say is that BLG, with 15 seconds left until that Dragon spawn, have put themselves into a position where they look like they want to fight. You have the Senna ultimate with the Rumble and, of course, the Braum to try and set up this, like, what I call like a double carpet of just insane AoE that can hit right down the lane. You can set this all up. You just need the right moment, the right, I suppose, go sign to really make it all happen. Uh-oh, Shinmo forced to flash away too close to the wall, and that fails to stand behind me. That's a little bit of a blunder that RNG will always capitalize on.
Yeah, now they're the ones that are in control of the pit. Flashes galore and all the ultimates up and available for RNG. They might look to try and turn this.
No flash on Shinmo, no flash on Fofo. Maybe they look for something right here. You can just put the Mordekai's in. That's a good equalizer to try and separate everybody away from the Dragon. It's still procced. It's still aggroed. There's the redemption coming down to try and reset the fight for BLG. Everything coming down to this smite. Bullet time goes off. Solar Flare as well. It's going to be secured by RNG, but the AoE comes out. Paranoia comes out as well as Kingen is trying to jump onto the back line along with Long Xing. They will take down the Senna. There's the Fear down onto Betty, but he flashes away as Meteor goes golden. It's a battle of the top laners as they're both trying to do it. Kingen as a double kill. Looking for more though. Xiaohu on the back side of this. Betty still here. Will just be able to bounce himself out. It will end up being a 3-for-3. Maybe after this hill goes down, Ming will go down. 4-for-2, excuse me. Overall, BLG lose the dragon, gain the fight.
And that was the problem that we saw was RNG are set up more to try and go for something along the lines of split push through Xiaohu. But when you've got that Unbreakable there for Jinmo, stops all the damage from Betty. You've got a great equalizer from Fofo. There's nowhere for RNG to turn. You can see here, Betty opens up with Jinmo instantly with the Unbreakable. You got the Dawning Shadow straight across everyone to keep them nice and topped up as well. And Meteor is wreaking havoc in the back line, separating everyone long enough for Kingen to start getting those resets.
Kingen just really, I feel like he should have focused maybe on Xiaohu. I know he's tried to go for Betty, but overall ends up trading over a kill as Xiaohu flashes in, gets himself the Kingslayer and the abscond. Words are hard, man.
They are.
English is difficult.
You don't really realize it until you try to explain to people just how difficult the language actually is.
Yeah. Here's a load of rules, and here's a load of exceptions to that rule.
That's actually longer than the rules.
Yes. Correct. Like the rule I before E except after C has more examples of it being incorrect than correct. It's one of those very, very weird little tidbits of information that you learn. But again, RNG, they got the Dragon. Now they're on the Dragon Soul timer. Able to put BLG a little bit on the back foot now with that particular thing. That means that BLG have to fight in 3 minutes' time around that Dragon.
And with Baron already up, you can see BLG are just like, cool, if we can get these guys in towards the Baron, find the fight that we want at that point, maybe we can make it happen. Maybe we can stop RNG from playing towards what it would definitely be another win condition for them. You can see how kind of drawn out these fights can be. A little bit of extra regen wouldn't go amiss for any of the members of RNG.
Still got that mid lane turret for both sides. Only one turret for RNG, 3 for BLG. It's a 3,000 gold lead. And again, BLG slowly creeping forward, I feel. Slowly getting the advantages, the gold at least, in these small little fights. And you can see with items being picked up, the Death's Dance alongside the Black Cleaver now for Aatrox, and of course the Edge of Night and the upgraded tier item for the Senna.
And the Guardian's Angel nearly complete for Meteor. This is what I love to see, because we've already saw the stopwatch, how crucial that was in keeping Meteor alive and drawing RNG members to try and deal with the Nocturne in the backline. But if you get the GA, with how few and far between these team fights have been, that GA is going to get continual value throughout the game and also be essentially another stopwatch for you in making sure that RNG have to deal with you when you resurrect.
So far ahead as well.
There it is. Yeah, just picked it up.
So the full item and a half ahead of his counterpart Xiaolong Bao.
3 levels as well.
Yeah, like this is not a night fight that you should be ever losing. He's about 3 levels, minimum 2 as soon as Xiaolong Bao gets his upgrade, or as soon as he gets his camp, but he had to go back, and already you can see the tower being focused down here. As BLG finally cracked that one open, and they can now really start to put pressure on this Baron.
That was kind of the last outer bastion of hope for RNG. Was never going to stand around for long. We already said with both those side lane turrets down, it was a lot more difficult for RNG to hold on to that tower. But now BLG should be able to get in and start again. Methodical, clearing out vision, making sure that RNG are coming in blind. They do have the Tremor Sense, which can help out a certain amount. We'll have to see how well BLG play around that to try and bait RNG in.
Now the lull in the game, 45 seconds though until that Ocean Drake spawns, and it only felt like a second ago I said 3 minutes. As we wait to see who prioritizes what. You can see already Long Xing with that teleport in the top side, trying to get a little bit more pressure, get those waves in order for RNG. But at the meantime, BLG already in position to look to try and deny this from RNG. And I feel like with the Dragons set up the way they are, RNG will not really look to contest this. I feel they can let one slide.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they let 2 slide, to be honest. See if they can just let that timer reset. I mean, you're looking realistically 11 to 12 minutes before BLG are putting pressure for that 4th Dragon. that might give you just enough time to get control of the side wave, start to push things out, equal up, maybe find a pick, although BLG have been doing a great job of not giving any opportunity for that to happen. As I say that, Ming.
Oh, Paranoia and the red carpet with the teleport coming in off the backside. The Senna ult hits 3, but Meteor does so much damage on top of him. He's immediately put into his GA, but Misfortune is down. The damage is gone. Longxing will trade back 1 kill, but what will he lose? RNG now running for their lives as Longxing tries to take back as much as he possibly can. He will end up falling. As I say that, ooh, Jinzhou almost goes down, and Xiaohu and Kingen now playing keep away from each other. It should be Kingen though finding him out and chasing him down.
The rest of BLG are going to push in through the mid lane. We're going to have Jinzhou and Jinmo creep over towards this dragon, trying to make the most of it. That Rumble ult is back up, or sorry, stolen away from Xiao, who is trying to use it to keep these going, but he goes down eventually, I'm assuming.
You assume? Potentially incorrect. I assume he will eventually fall down. He's got the boss cone. He's just going to try and fight Longxing. He's still got a hell of a lot of mana, but hell no to his health bar. And that is going to be a definitive team fight going the way of BLG.
Now giving themselves a 5k gold lead. No dragon to speak of for RNG to try and play around. Now BLG can fully put their focus on towards the Baron. We are going to catch a replay, but this is where the Xenoblade is down and Meteor goes, okay, I'm fine to go in. The Dawning Shadow is great in these scenarios as well, and just giving that little bit more survivability to Meteor with the GA alongside it. Causes enough disruption, allows BLG to get in and finish off any members that are there. And Longxing, yes, was able to kill Meteor, but it doesn't matter. The rest of them are able to collapse. Very nearly takes down Jinmo. I thought he was going to, or Jinzhou even, I thought he was going to go down.
Very, very close. He's be very careful. That Mordekaiser is incredibly strong, especially with the extra little bit of damage being put down from his almost Stormmail.
The Bramble Vest, and don't forget also that burn damage coming in from the Landry's Torment. So I wasn't sure if those ticks were going to be enough, but Senna will live to fight another day. Maybe not so much for Xiaohu.
Round 2. Fight. Kingen is not done with you yet, Xiaohu. He tries to just find as much as he possibly can. Nicely dodged over to the top side, though. Keep himself there, but they're just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this guy, seeing if they can just take him down. He'll go golden. The rest of BLG is here. He'll dash, he'll flash, he'll try his very, very best, but in the end, he does go down. And that is going to be a pretty decent pick-off here for the side of BLG, but unfortunately for them, they have no wave to push up in this bot side.
And Longxing is actually pushing in the top lane, so might finally get this outer turret down. But yeah, I mean, it's a kill, but a lot invested when it comes down to it. Ultimates galore used, and when we were already talking about them wanting to set up around the Baron, not having access to these big ultimates will steadily slow it down and give RNG the opportunity to clear out some of the vision.
And someone I do really want to highlight in this series overall was Fofo. A lot of question marks over this player. Someone that we were wondering, you know, he was multiple LMS MVP. Someone that everyone was saying, oh, you know, big fish, little pond. Here he is, fighting against some of the best LPL talent in the world. This is his first real test, I feel, and he has come up genuinely top trumps.
100%. Fofo has massively impressed me. Impressed me on the Orianna. Now impressed me on the Rumble. Want to see where this ultimate is going to go, though. This is prime real estate for that equalizer to come through and level RNG. But they're not going to go. They're not going to push through. They are aware that these ultimates are back up and available.
Well, stopwatches littered around both these teams. Double Zanyas for the side of RNG. You got a stopwatch now on the Aatrox and, of course, the Rumble as well. GA should be coming up for Meteor for the ensuing fight. Now we're starting to look at actually a GA third item for Misfortune. So Betty realizing that 0, 1, and 3, not having the best time, having to flash and heal most of these fights away is not the primary damage on his team. Needs to be definitely playing more defensively.
It also means that Meteor has less targets to go for. If you take out Betty, it doesn't really mean anything. The fight is still going to be ongoing. Now he's got to go and re-evaluate who's trying to dive on. Do you go for Xiao, who's got the Zanyas? How do you try and burst out Longxing? It's a great answer, and RNG have been playing very smartly with their item choices to try and counteract what BLG want to achieve.
And RNG have to react to BLG setting up these waves. You can see Xiaohu up to the top side, Longxing down to the bot. Longxing has not got a teleport just yet. And that is going to be little small annoyances that make it easier for BLG to go back into this jungle, to go back into this red side and can get themselves some vision control over everything. Really put pressure onto RNG around this Baron. A minute till that Dragon again. It's still RNG with the advantage in that sense. So BLG need to make sure they play their cards right. They're not out of the woods just yet.
This game is starting to go on and on. 33 minutes, and you are looking at least some decent items starting to come through. So this is where we got to start looking at the scalings on both sides. Xiao Hu on the Silas will do a lot of work. That Kingslayer is going to heal for a substantial amount now that he's starting to hit up towards that level 16 mark. You've got Longshin as well, nearly hitting that level 18. This is Mordekaiser's territory. This is where it becomes so difficult to deal with if he gets onto the carries in these team fights.
The big issue I'm seeing right now is a level 15 Nocturne and a level 12 Rek'Sai. There is no catch-up XP in this game anymore. You're behind, you're still behind. It forced you to make a play just like this. Ming goes in, the Glacial Fisher stops the bullet time for going in, and now RNG have to be on full retreat. Longshin gets stunned up, taken down. Fofo will say thank you very much. BLG looking in control of Game 3.
And it finally looks like BLG have pushed over the line. Now they'll start to crack open this turret in the mid lane. They can look towards that inhibitor. With 40 seconds on Longshin, there's no way that RNG can defend this. And now they can go back towards Baron as well.
Take the inhibitor. They may look just for the game if they're feeling risky enough.
If XLB goes down.
Again, those levels, he's so far behind. It just becomes impossible for him to even look for any kind of an engage. They take the inhibitor and they can rotate back down for the Ocean Drake, reset, set up again at Baron.
And we were singing the praises of Xiaolongbao, how well he had been doing in this series. But Meteor comes out with the Nocturne and shows why there's a difference, why Meteor is a franchise player for BLG, and how Xiaolongbao, yes, you look good, but you're still a rookie in the LPL.
This is the big play, though, from RNG. They know that the Ocean Drake was being taken down. They're going to go straight onto the Baron. It's down to about one half of its HP. Fofo is around. They do not have the equalizer there on the side of RNG, but they do have it on the side of BLG. Now they go in. There's the paranoia. They jump straight on. GA onto the Misfortune, take it down immediately. And now Kingen can just force everybody out. Hello again over the wall with the blast cone. 3 for 1. GA's galore. RNG are routed.
And Longshin goes down with that. They will already put the pings onto the base. Minions are strewing in, and RNG have been routed.
RNG will lose 2-1 to BLG, and what a statement for this team. BLG, the number 4 team from Summer, just missed out on regional qualifiers. Towards the end of the season, we were all honestly saying that this team should be going to Worlds. They stamped their authority down on RNG. They take the series 2-1, and they continue with 100% series.
late game. There's no catch-up experience. There's nothing to try and make you look good. It's just down to what you can do in that jungle, and it was Meteor who came out on top.
BLG showing it's not how you start, it is how you finish. Not the hare, definitely the turtle in this story, but they come out with the win, and they finally take a huge step towards possibly contesting for top 2 in the league.
I mean, you can see right there, Fofo on your screens, nearly 20,000 damage in that game. This dude is a menace. Rumble, Orianna, I don't care what this guy is playing, he looks fantastic.
And you can see just by the turrets, the pressure that BLG had, 9 turrets to 1. They lost 1 of their own turrets, and that was it. Yes, they lost a couple of dragons, but almost, I feel like almost that kind of baited in RNG to fight at those objectives. You're against a Rumble, a Senna, and a Braum. That is so much AoE distortion that you can bring in there. And Kingen, someone who we had question marks coming into this, honestly looks like he's found his feet and looks like he's striding towards being a top talent.
Most certainly. I mean, solo kills, looks great in lane, and as well, I think also BLG are one of the teams that have adapted the best to the new meta. We're seeing them play very heavily around that Rift Herald, consistently getting 2 towers out of it, which other teams haven't really been able to do. We've seen Meteor place that exactly where he needs to, understanding how much pressure is going to be caused, and caught RNG unaware, it's caught previous opponents unaware, and I want to see how teams are going to adapt now to this new BLG.
What's the limit for BLG? What are they looking for right now? You've seen them now twice in the last week. How high is the ceiling go?
I mean, I'm looking at playoffs. I'm looking towards, semi-finals, if not finals for this team. I'm really hyped to see what they can do. Yes, it was an RNG that weren't quite there, but that's still a very strong performance from them, a controlled performance throughout. And if you can rely on that and your mechanical skills that we've seen from their players, they become an absolute menace when it does get to the later stages of the split.
I will say, I'm not worried for RNG. I really am not. I think Xiaolongbao had a great game 1, a great game 2. I think in game 3, as you said, as we were talking about, it just kind of got away from him. And that heavy gank style that he was kind of going for, that, without farming as such, he just ended up getting the gap larger and larger and larger. And unfortunately for him, it just didn't really come together in that particular game. But I feel like for such a young player, he has so much room to grow, and what a team to do it on as well.
Definitely. It's not the where you want to be in this series. I mean, think about it. You're in your game 3 of your first day of the LPL. You're up against Meteor, who's now put you on a clock with this Nocturne pick, where I have to make things work as this Rek'Sai in the early game, or this Nocturne is just going to outscale me and take over. You're putting a lot of pressure onto this day 1 rookie, and unfortunately, he cracked. That's not to say that he can't come up back from this or move on from this, but you can definitely see that it's still green behind the ears, and now to move on from there.
Exactly. You take exactly what you just said there, the experience and also just the length of this series. It's something that the LPL, and I feel like most Chinese teams, or most Chinese veteran players at least, will be very used to, is that these series can go very, very long. It's coming up to, I think, 5 past 10 in the evening here for us, 22:04. This is a long day for these guys, because you're assuming they're getting up, they're having a couple of practices, they're talking to their managers, their coaches, they're talking about their strategies, they're talking about the games, they're coming into the arenas, they're talking to fans, there's a lot that happens in a day, and then you have a full 3-game set that most games go 40+ minutes. That's a long day.
And to put that into a newcomer as well, that's the one that I want to kind of look at, is that these are new systems. I mean, yes, he played in the LDL, so we'll know a little bit. I think it was Young Miracles that he played for. So now coming into Royal, new team, new staff, new house, a lot of new opportunities for him to not quite be comfortable, and then to get to this later stage as well of the day, after so many games and such intense games as well. It's got to be pretty strenuous.
Absolutely. I think that Xiaolongbao has a fantastically bright future ahead of him. I am very, very curious to see. But, of course, we got to give congratulations, of course, to BLG. They're the guys that are now 2-0. They're the reason that they're at the top of the table alongside IG and eStars as well. So they have gotten 2 wins in the bag. And
it's got to be pretty nice and have that sigh of relief to think, okay, we've got 1 game in the bag against one of the top teams. We can drop one of them against one of the teams later on in the game, or in the split, but we're good. We've got that 1 in the bag.
Of course, and we're going to have a couple of quick clips on the rumble for Fofo in that last game, because it was pretty damn big for how he set up all these fights.
These equalizers were so on point. This one in particular, where it just splits up the fight entirely is fantastic. You can see him holding on to it for so long. I think this is the one, or have I?
I think it was just before this. Yeah, it was just
yeah.
before this he got it, but this was just Rumble. You can see Fofo, he's untouched in this fight, and he's just constantly going back, waging his cooldowns, making sure he doesn't overheat, making sure that when he does overheat, he is getting the max benefit out of those empowered auto attacks and flame spitters. And there is why Fofo is considered a pretty damn good prospect in this league.
Yeah, you can see the equalizers here as well, setting up the catch for Meteor, and it is just slowing it a little bit, but understanding that, look, I don't always have to have this 3 to 4 man ultimate. Instead, I can be the facilitator, and understanding how to swap between those roles is why Fofo is so potent.
I am very excited for this BLG side. I am very, very happy to finally see them after they lost Kuro in the last season. I have a lot of question marks like, well, you've built this Korean kind of duo or solo lane style. How is it going to work with new Fofo? It looks fantastic, and it also is a fantastic thing to see that Meteor hasn't lost his edge.
And I was also looking to see how Kingen was going to perform. I saw ADD was doing pretty well last summer. I thought that this was going to be a guy that they stuck to, but seeing the performance that Kingen has put in, I understand why he's now starting on the roster. This guy looks phenomenal.
It could be a communications. This guy just seems straight up like a fantastic mechanical top laner. But Fofo, you mentioned his KDA, 708, 83.3% kill participation, and nearly 35% of his team's overall damage. He had a fantastic outing.
Yeah, and it's great to see him coming from the LMS. As you said, big fish, small pond. We were trying to see what the story was, but we've seen other LMS players come in and not have the same success. Maple, Sword Art to a certain extent as well, hasn't looked like he has back on those Flash Wolves days. Fofo has come in and looked absolutely, even Betty, who was on RNG there today. I mean, these are players where we kind of go, okay, they're still okay, they're coming in, they're kind of finding their footing. Fofo comes in and just slaps the book out of everyone's hands and goes, I'm here, I'm taking over, let's go.
And that's where I love the fact that we can now have the conversation of, is he along the, like, you know, is he just below the likes of Doomby, Rookie, Knight? These are the big three, if you want to call them. Any of my Hero Academia fans will know what that means. The big three that are coming up, they are the top of the table, and they're the people you want to be going. Is he getting there? Is he look like he could be there eventually?
I personally think he could be. I don't know how well he'll do in a 1v1. I think if you put up like just individual prowess, Knight, I think would be able to take him. But in a team fight scenario, on the facilitating role he has in the team, I think he definitely shines with the rest of them.
Have to see exactly how Fofo goes. We're going to have a quick recap of today's action. Of course, earlier in the day, we saw JDG dismantle Team WE in a very quick fashion, which then set us up for the mammoth of a marathon that was BLG versus RNG, which, of course, BLG were able to take at 2-1. And of course, we'll have a quick look at the standings. That means that JDG, with no losses at all and 2 wins, means that they are up with +4 in the game difference. Unfortunately for RNG, they do go down to the loser side of the half, I suppose, if you want to call it that. But right up there, you can see IG, eStars, BLG, and JDG all with 2 wins.
And when we looked at the way that this week was going to start, I would have expected this to look very, very differently. I mean, FPX and RNG down towards the bottom half of your standings. Even Vici Gaming to a certain extent as well. I was curious to see how these guys would do, but as you said, very early days. It's only week 1. Chinese New Year is up, and that's where we're going to see the rest of the teams come and see what they are capable of.
Before Chinese New Year's hits, we do, of course, have one more day of action. Tomorrow's matches, the last day of the week for us in the English broadcast, and of course, until we hit Chinese New Year break, is going to be Vici Gaming versus DMO. A battle of the mid-table. Both teams looking to find their feet, both coming off of a loss. And then they've got EDG versus Top eSports. That one could potentially be a very good game, or a bit of a stop.
Yeah, and I think for Top eSports, they're going to want to make sure that they are going up towards the top of the table, solidify that 2-0 week to make sure that they're looking strong, but we'll have to see how they do up against EDG.
Who's your bets on for Vici DMO?
I think Vici. I'm really excited about Vici, but
why you gotta do my boy natural like that?
I want to see Cube on a carry. That's the one thing. If Cube's on a carry, I think Vici have it. Otherwise, I'm still...
So weighing it up either side.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Ornn. I'm not a fan of Cube on Ornn, but we'll see.
That's fair. We'll have to wait and see. But, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that is all we have time for today. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank you, Dagda, for joining me on the desk. I want to thank our fantastic production team, of course, for bringing you all this action, TJ Sports, and all the extras that we have in this fantastic studio. I will always reference it. You don't understand if you didn't watch last summer.
And the viewers as well for sticking with us for such a long series.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again tomorrow.